A Calgary mother hopes to shock drug users away from taking fentanyl and other opioids. Sherry Kent posted this picture on Facebook of her lying on a hospital bed with her intubated son. 22-year-old Michael died in hospital last month, a week after overdosing. Alongside the photo, Sherry wrote, "I just want everyone to know that my son Michael overdosed on fentanyl. My son was not an addict. He made a mistake that cost him his life. I just want to make everyone aware of the epidemic that's going on right now. I want to make parents aware that it can happen to anyone who decides to touch anything that can be snorted up your nose." And Sherry Kent joins me now from Calgary. And Sherry, first of all, I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
I mean, that picture is powerful. It's shocking. Describe that.
I wanted to take this picture. I planned to do something about this long before my son passed away. I wanted that picture I want parents to really show their children this picture. I think it's really going to be the only way that this is going to hit home. It doesn't matter nowadays how much you tell children how dangerous this is. Children's going to go and do it without you knowing. So if I could save one life from this, or many, by people seeing that picture, that makes me very happy. My son will be proud that, even if we've saved one life, he would be proud of me.
Can you tell me what you're feeling in that moment when you're lying next to him?
Devastation, just total devastation. It's probably one of the hardest things that I'll ever have to deal with in my lifetime. People can lose parents, and it's not the same as losing a child. It's very devastating to me. It's very devastating to my children that are left behind by their baby brothers. So yes, it's quite hard to deal with, but I'm finding a lot of strength and support from people worldwide that have been supporting me on this Facebook post. I've heard a lot of stories from a lot of people, and it's not only happening in Canada, it's happening across the world.
Can you tell me a little bit about your son, what kind of person Michael was?
My son was the love of my life. He was always happy. Everybody that he ever, touched really loved Michael. He was very soft-spoken, very gentle, and he was kind to a fault, like trusting. He trusted everybody. It didn't matter who you were. He always found there was somewhere for you. Like, it didn't matter if you were a street person or, he loved everybody. And he was a very loving boy himself.
Can you bring us back to the moment that you got the call and found out that your son had overdosed?
Excuse me. I was in total shock. I was at work at the time when I received this call from my daughter. I was just shocked. I couldn't, I live in Calgary, and I wasn't able to drive down to BC that evening. So I went the next day totally emotional. It was very hard to drive 7 hours to get down to Kelowna to be with my son, but I never left the hospital once I got there. I stayed with him for the full week.
So what was that drive like, and what was that week like?
That drive was very emotional, especially being alone. My thoughts were on him the whole way there. It was very devastating to walk into the hospital to see my son already on life support. I didn't really know how serious this was until I got there. The nurses and the doctors at the hospital were very compassionate, very great with me while I was there. Once I made the decision to make my son an organ donor, they asked me if I would like to lay with my son for a little while. So I got to lay with my son a few times where, the first time where I laid and told him, you made a mistake that cost you your life, and I'm still very proud of you, honey. It's devastating. You're going to hurt your family. You're going to hurt me. And then another day that I laid with him, the second time, I told him that, we're going to be saying goodbye to you, and I've made you an organ donor, so 5 people are going to live due to your tragedy, which, I don't want that to happen to any other parent, to have to go through what I've gone through.
No one should.
No, and there's no sight of this ending, so all we can do is try to prepare our children the best we can, and, talk to your children, try to be in their every move and everywhere as they go. You you can't dedicate your life to tracking your children and trying to watch every move that they're doing. You know, I know a gentleman in BC that follows his son around with a Narcan kit because he cannot stop him. All he can do is try to make him safe. And that's terrible for a parent to have to do, or have to lay down every night worrying about if your son's going to overdose tonight, or if, you know, or tomorrow could be the day. You know, that's very devastating.
And you point out in your Facebook post that your son wasn't an addict, that he made a mistake. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I think that's a message that you wanted to get across.
Yes. My son was a recreational user, just like a lot of people in this world are. He dabbled once in a while, but he had been clean for 4 months prior to this happening, and I take it this could be why he overdosed so quickly, is because he has no drugs in his system. The only thing found in his system was marijuana, in which he was a recreational user of that as well. No, Michael didn't use hard drugs all the time. He was a recreational user as well. 3 weeks prior to this happening, my daughter overdosed as well. And he made me the promise that he would have her back and that I'd never have to worry about her again. And then a week later, I'm going through this with him. I'm sorry.
No, it's difficult. It's difficult to see something like this happen to a family. What do you want people to learn from the loss of your son?
You know, I want people to be more aware of this. There's a lot of people out here, a lot of parents that I've talked to, and they've told me about their tragedies of losing their child. And a lot of people don't know what a Narcan kit is, or how it's used. And I recommend for anybody, kids, adults, anybody that is going to use, to please get one of these kits from a pharmacy. They're free. I would say that I would want everybody to have one, but I wouldn't want one of these kits in everybody's hands, because you can't just go and jam a needle into somebody that you see laying on the side of the street thinking that they're overdosed. So it's a very touchy situation. People have to learn a little bit more about the safety and what you can do to help someone if you happen to see them overdosed. You know, if you're out with your friends and you decide you're going to be a recreational user, please, if your friend happens to fall asleep on the cot or the couch that he's sitting on, he did not go to sleep. He's overdosed. You need to know the warning signs.
These are good tips that a lot of people need to hear. Sherry, appreciate you taking the time today.
Yes, thank you for having me.